our story.
Yes, what exactly is your story? Well, really, I think it's a perfectly simple question. Honestly, why did you come here?
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Serial,
What's up, guys? It's Reed.
and we're going to be talking about Wandavision. Finally, after a long time, it's been a year and a half since we've had anything Marvel to even talk about, look over. I know a lot of people went back to old Marvel movies and Endgame and Infinity War looking for Easter eggs and things that could, kind of expand on some things that we haven't found out. Spoiler warning, we're going to be talking about WandaVision episodes 1 and 2. If you guys haven't watched them yet, they are on Disney Plus. Highly recommend watching it. It's a great show so far. And me and Reed are going to talk about some of the things that are happening to kind of help you guys out and talk about some things you might have missed.
So the first thing we want to talk about for the first two episodes is the black and white and the color contrast for the show. We see the first episode almost like a 50s, 60s vibe. You'll notice the sets that for the black and white for episodes 1 and 2 were completely different living rooms and living spaces. One of the first things that I thought of was that this shows the progression of the reality that Wanda's creating herself. Maybe the end of episode 2 was a sort of evolving for the reality that she's creating in this sitcom world, whether it be for Vision or for SWORD or the FBI, whatever is going on here. It's going to be really interesting to see how this progression works towards the later episodes, because we're going to be running out of types of sitcoms, I guess, to cover. It'll be really interesting to see whether or not there is a direct correlation between how the sitcom is updating and how the power that Wanda is investing inside of this reality is changing. Another cool aspect of the show that we wanted to talk about was the commercial breaks that we got for both of the first episodes. The more interesting one, I would have to say, would be the Strucker commercial, which is a callback to the scientists from Hydra that helped create Wanda and her brother Quicksilver's powers. We also see that the watch has the Hydra logo, another callback for Hydra. And it was really interesting to get that sort of, like, I don't want to say corny, but like that throwback feel to those types of commercials, like the infomercials for different items. And it was really interesting concept for them to cover. Commercial for the first episode was the Stark toaster commercial. You may not have noticed, but the first sound it makes when it powers up was the same sort of power-up sound for the Mark II for the original Iron Man 1 movie. Another cool way for the show to call back to its roots and really pull on our heartstrings.
Yeah, Reed, and just going off the kind of TV vibe, we have the TV remote kind of like guide thing that was made for the show. And the intro of the show is a TV cutting on in episode 1, and then the outro, it fades back into a shield kind of background you can see on a monitor and a notepad. In someone's hand who's kind of holding a device. It's speculated that that's Darcy from the Thor movies, the scientist who helps Jane and the professor. So we can kind of get a background of like SWORD is monitoring what's going on and kind of how they're still in the dark and trying to figure out what's going on. So are we, the audience. So it's this weird kind of aspect of us kind of finding out and going through this together. So episode 1 ends with us seeing more SWORD that we haven't seen since the Samuel L. Jackson kind of Easter egg final credit scene a couple of movies ago. So again, just the layers onto the TV show with the TV turning off and it kind of doing an outro of backing up from a TV goes along with the 70s and the 80s and just the vibes for just what they're going for with the sitcom. In episode 2, we go from the 70s to the 80s. They're still going with the black and white vibe that Reed talked about earlier, the feel as we transition through. And we get actually our first piece of color in episode 2 with the helicopter that again has the SWORD logo on it. Then episode 2 ends with Wanda and Vision going outside and someone comes up through the sewer. And quickly, you might have missed it, but on their back is the SWORD kind of symbol again. And again, we're just seeing sword symbol again. Sword symbol again. At this point, it's obvious. Like, Sword is in the picture. Sword is monitoring what's going on. And then we get another 80s theme kind of outro. But this time we get kind of like a, Wanda, what's going on? Like, who's doing this to you? What's going on? Voiceover from FBI agent Wu from the Ant-Man series. So, we're left kind of hanging like, oh my, like, what's going on? Who could be possibly doing this to Wanda? And again, we get more characters, voices this time, not faces, who are just added to this, expanding the ever so growing multiverse and universe of what is the MCU.
Thank you guys for watching our first breakdown of the WandaVision episodes. Excited to see you guys next week.
Yeah, don't forget to comment on this video for a shout out in next week's video. We're looking forward to another episode of Wanda and more Marvel stuff that we can break down as we all kind of figure out what's going on and we progress through the decade.